How everybody doing? I want to welcome you to Fearen Fear Files, where we, if you don't know what we do here, we question the truth and try to uncover what's real and what's not. So, without further ado, let's get to the video.
Well, situation. TMZ went away from their usual practices. Harvey Levin is front and center when it's a Celeste and David update, when it's an update about this case and this case. Harvey is the lawyer. He's front and center for everything. And then on occasions, you'll have the black guy next to Harvey.
So after they're on Horn Island on July 4th, at the end of the day, about 4:30, they decide they're heading back to the mainland. And the owner of that boat, or the grandson of the owner who's driving the boat, realizes that they are taking on water. Their bilge pump isn't working, so he places a call to a tow company called Sea Tow. Think is that in the background of that call,
what people think, how they how they minimalize words that we hear. We heard those words clearly, bruh. We heard, is he dead? Oh my God, Nolan, no. Get up. We heard those words clearly. Now they're minimalizing those words now. Pay attention. These folks are sneaky. Pay attention, bro. Oh, nah, man, that's just commotion.
We heard that.
Nah, man. Now they're saying this, it's just commotion because they're trying to say, oh, nah, man. It was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Y'all couldn't even hear. Nah, bruh. The sister enhanced the audio. Shout out to the sister, who's a professional audio engineer, if you guys don't know. You see, independent media is breaking this case open. The person who enhanced the audio, the beautiful black sister, she is a professional audio engineer. So she makes sure to enhance it to where it is not just staticky. But the sister enhanced the audio to where you could hear it clearly. As clear as it could be. This is a professional who did this. This sister did her job. This sister did the job that TMZ was supposed to do. They say y'all got no proof. Their favorite line was, "There's nothing that suggests foul play was done here." That was their favorite line before the audio came out. Now the audio came out and you hear it clear as day. Now the new thing is up to interpretation. Don't play into their games. They're not looking for answers. They're looking for reasonable doubt.
That's what they're looking for.
Okay, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. I want to talk more about Summerland and the perpetual twilight that they have on the other side of the pupil. So in the other videos, I described that we live inside of the lens of the eyeball, but in Summerland, you can actually enter into the other side of the pupil if you will go to the north and go through, which is General Admiral Byrd had actually done this, where he went through the center, and this is actually going through the pupil. And when you're going through the pupil, it's like, this is where the light is coming from, right? From Summerland. And in Summerland, or the other side of the pupil, the dragon has its eye closed, right? But if you take a flashlight and you close your eyes and you put the flashlight right in front of your eyes, you're going to see light still, right? So in Summerland, the light is 24 hours a day. There's never nighttime. You know what I'm saying? So in that realm, it's perpetual twilight. It's 24-hour light. And it's like as if a light is shining through our eyeball. And this is the same light that is coming through our realm to give us daylight. And so we're only receiving a portion. Now, the light that's in Summerland is way higher than the light that we have here. That's why the creatures are bigger. It's ionizing energy. It's too much ionizing energy. And all the creatures are bigger. The ants are bigger. The birds are bigger. There's still dragons there. There's big-ass apes there. They're showing you in the movies what's happening on what you're calling inner Earth. Is actually the surface of our world. So if the Anunnaki did come to Tiamat, more than likely they came from the outside in, so they probably came from the other side of the realm. That's why there's probably still Elohim and the Galactic Federation and Argartha and all these damn golden cities, Shambhala, all these cities that they're saying are there, because this is where the origin started from. This is the front side of the eyeball. You see, this is probably how we even got to this part of the lens, because if we're living inside a dragon, how we get here? So we must have came from another place. You see, in Summerland, we must have came from the surface. And we probably came here and created this realm, and then we're invaded on the surface world. And then they came into this part of the world. We don't know, because we're being separated from the actual true history of what the hell's going on. We're only getting part of the story. We don't know what happened in Summerland. We just know it's there. You know, they show us in all these movies like Avatar, you know, where they're showing that they're going to another place, but more than likely they're just going down there, where there's a whole another realm down there, and they have their own dome. You know, the Cornea is their dome. You know what I'm saying? So they have perpetual twilight there. It's 24 hours daylight, and the time moves different there. You know, the elite militaries and the rich and wealthy around the world know about these entrances. They've been knew about them, and they probably go there to monitor what's going on the surface all the time. But for us being the macro to the micro, it's going to be hard for us to colonize such a vast kingdom.
Hey y'all, come look at this.
Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery. Do you agree with him?
Now listen, 100%.
Duh, we knew you was gonna agree. 100%, that ain't enough. You agree with him, coon percent. Coon percent is even stronger than 100%, especially when it pertains to cooning.
You don't understand black history, and you don't understand what Charlie was saying. Listen, after slavery, there was an
You don't understand shit. You ain't understand the question. That motherfucker say niggas was better during slavery. He ain't say shit about after. During.
What he said.
Not after.
Explosion of success in the black community. We had Black Wall Street.
Boy, this nigga don't know what the fuck he talking about. Black Wall Street ain't had shit to do with slavery. Yeah, them white folk came to Black Wall Street down. Charlie Kirk, great granddaddy probably part of the militia. The fuck are you talking about?
We were married to the women we had children with.
I tell you this, you wouldn't be married to the woman you got children with. They ain't gonna lie, none of that motherfucking mixing.
Black people had a tremendous amount of success. Our success was growing faster than white people during that period of time. Now look at us.
Hey nigga, you ain't never heard of the 13th Amendment? Soon as slavery was over, they started locking our ass up.
Yeah, they did.
You can't even stand around. You must have been reading that Trump history book.
That's what he was in that
This
Trump
is what it
book.
looks like to turn your side hustle into a real business. So I finally made it official in 2026. I formed an LLC with Taylor Brands, and they sent me all of this. So this is my actual business. I got my EIN.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who did what and I don't know how it went down, but I do know this: if I go somewhere with my friends, if we came together, we leave together, I ain't leaving y'all nowhere. And if something happened, I'm not going back home with your damn cell phone, so you can't call nobody.
We're gonna leave.
And then deactivate
if
my
I come
account
with you, man, we're gonna leave, and we're
go
gonna come
find
together.
a lawyer. I'm not saying who did what or however, I don't know, but I know that's suspicious as hell. Who do that?
That's real talk, bro. Who do
That's all I'm saying. I
Why
don't,
they do that?
hey. And another thing, cause like I said, I don't know who did what or how everything went down. I don't know how nobody was raised. I don't know that, but I do know that sometimes these circumstances come up because certain people believe that not telling their children about danger is
The
a
real
form of
thing.
protection. I don't know why. I'm not saying that's what the case is. You know what I'm saying? We can, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, well, why you gotta make it a race? We can take color completely out of it, because the young lady that was from Charlotte, who was a hairdresser, the same thing happened to her. Her friends came back from Mexico and lied. And they was all black. What I'm talking about is discernment. Discernment. Please know who you around. Please know who you around. You need, please. I tell y'all all the time, the 3 most important things in the world: location, association, and value. You got to know who you with, who you around, who not to be around. That one friend that always got a backhanded compliment, always, yeah, you know, Nolan's just a douchebag. No, Nolan don't like you, and you need to watch him. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm just saying, I done been in this situation before. I've been the fly in the milk at work. And there was always a slick comment back every day. Every day. Every single day. There was always somebody had something to say. Somebody had that. You wonder, why am I on your mind this much? Just saying, it don't look right. That's all I'm saying.
Not only have I found more evidence of a fourth boat, not only have I found a lie in their timeline, but I have also discovered a deep political connection, not only to a former governor of Mississippi, but to Turning Point USA. So first off, this picture has surfaced in which it's clearly the group of boats a little bit further out in the water altogether. Now here's what is supposedly Bart's boat. We can see the Garmin on top. We can confirm this black boat from this other picture. We can see Wyatt's Triton right here, and we can confirm that by the motor. As you can see right here, has that black stripe on the white motor. Now in between the two boats is the Palm Beach. You can clearly see it labeled, and it's got that.
I want to see what that got to really do with anything. You know, the fourth boat. What does that fourth boat really have to do with this? You know what I'm saying? What the fourth boat got to do with it? Let's figure it out.
Stripe, right? As you can see, the stripe is there, and yet there's this design right here and no Palm Beach. And you may be like, Jay, that doesn't prove that it's a different boat. Maybe we just can't see it, even though it should be right there according to this picture. But if you look in this video, you can see that there is a black propeller right there. See black propeller, and you can very clearly see the Palm Beach right there on the side. And if you look really carefully in this photo, you can see right there a black propeller. There's another boat on the other side of these three boats. And given the lack of the name on the boat and the black propeller, I'm going to assume the Palm Beach is on the other side, which means there's four boats right here. Then I rewatched Warren's interview.
And I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. No one was not with me. And I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck. And, well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back. And the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddies, and we went, filled the top of the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from Fort Bayou Boat Launch to my buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all planned to meet up that day.
So Wyatt had his buddy's boat already hooked up to the back of his truck. He said he and Wyatt and his other buddy went and got ice and filled up the boats. And Wyatt went and put the Palm Beach, his smaller boat, into the water. And we know that there was a second boat, the Triton, that was driven by Wyatt. Wyatt had two boats in the water. Who was driving his other boat?
Nolan was on Wyatt Pyron's 22 Triton. On the way out, I went with my buddy Bart because we had a lot of friends from college coming down. And Bart, I called Bart that morning. I was like, "Hey, man, can you take your boat out?" And he was like, "Yeah, well, my dad's decided not to go, and I'll take the boat and I'll take you and your friends." Of course, I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart and a lot of the girls that go to college with my friends and I, and Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. There was like 8 people on the Triton, and then there was 8 or 9 people on the Triton, and then there was the rest of the group, which was probably ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people.
Now, wait a minute. So Warren already had a boat hooked up when he woke up that morning. I'm assuming that that had to be the Triton that was hooked up, right? Then he said that Wyatt went and put his smaller boat, the Palm Beach, into the water. Then Warren said that he was the one who drove the Palm Beach to their friend's dock. Assuming that Wyatt drove the Triton to the dock and Bart drove his own boat to that dock, who drove the Palm Beach out to the water then? Because he said that he got a ride in with Bart, even though at one point during the interview he said all of his stuff was on the Palm Beach. So it sounds to me like Warren was the one driving the Palm Beach. I'm also like, what parent would let their kid, who's obviously going off to party, take 2 of their boats and let their drunk friends drive? Like, it isn't making sense to me. I mean, maybe these parents are just shitty parents and irresponsible. Then he also said that he contacted Bart that morning to see if he could come. And Bart was like, yeah, I can give all your friends a ride, blah, blah, blah. According to him, there were 10-ish people, 15 people on that boat. So where were those people originally supposed to ride in on? They'd been planning it for weeks. They were excited about it. Why did Bart have to suddenly step in and take all these people? And remember, Bart said that his dad had canceled going out on the boat that day, so he could do it. Something's not adding up here. I think there was an adult somewhere in this mix. It would also explain how they all thought quickly on their feet with the sea tow. I wouldn't be surprised if an adult didn't come out there and just go off with other adults that were also on Horn Island and let the kids hang out with the boat. Here's where things are going to get interesting, folks. There are more GPS coordinates in the report than what we have seen publicly. I'm going to play you a clip from the interview, but remember, at 5:30 is when they started picking up regular speed, all right? It's right here, 525, speed miles, 30 to 35 knots. So here we go.
Planed off and you have water in the boat and you're hauling, we're going pretty fast. We're going probably 40, 42 miles an hour. And so all that excess water that was built up in the boat is coming out of the boat. So, I mean, that's what we had to do. So we ran into Fort Bayou and we didn't just run straight to my buddy's grandparents' house. We ran into Fort Bayou. A couple of us jumped in the water. And Wyatt, like the whole reason for the stop was so Wyatt could hop in and put the plug back in the boat. So then after that, we went and docked it, and I went back to my buddy's house and we ate and napped for a little bit. It was a long day at the islands.
Now you heard him. He said that they took off going 40 miles an hour and they didn't go to his buddy's grandparents' house, but they went to Fort Bayou to go do a plug thing. Except right here, 5:44, vessel arrives at El Camino Road. 8 minutes later, then it departs from El Camino Road and headed east into Fort Bayou. So right there we have a lie. The boat did stop before going into Fort Bayou. 6 minutes later, it comes back to El Camino Road, and the vessel departed El Camino Road half an hour later, headed southwest to St. Martin Bayou, and then turned southeast into Biloxi Bay Bridge. Then they went back to the Bayou boat launch. Then the boat was taken to Cardinal Lane, which was Wyatt's residence. Now, because I am an absolute genius, I was able to find it. This was where they left and where they came back that day, then came back several times. Now, first off, why aren't we seeing footage of them returning that day? We know that Nolan was with them when they left, so why do they have the security cams from that morning, but not that night? Whose grandparents lived there? Jax Patalo, whose family owns a pharmacy. It goes back deeper than that because George Patalo Sr., which is Jax's great-grandfather who is deceased, as it turns out, his great-grandfather was appointed and served on the staff of Mississippi Governor Cliff Finch. As you can see, I've confirmed Jax's relation to him. And as it turns out, Cliff Finch, well, he was in the Mississippi House of Representatives from 1960 to 1964 and supported racial segregation and backed the racist governor, to preserve segregation in the state. The federal grand jury conducted a 3-year-long investigation into his administration and several state agencies, and they were all accused of corruption and mismanagement. Finch was never found guilty himself, but some of his aides and appointees were indicted. And those sort of political connections seem to trickle down through the generations, so now we know why the governor got involved. And I started looking into the lawyer that's handling the defamation case from the Bart family. So from 2015 to 2018, he was state director of Americans for Prosperity. Then in 2018 to 2020, he was vice president of Stand Together while being vice president of Americans for Prosperity. Stand Together is a Charles Koch nonprofit, and Americans for Prosperity is a libertarian conservative political advocacy group affiliated with Charles Koch and David Koch. And if you don't know who the Koch brothers are, they're fucking evil. Guess who's one of the major funders for Turning Point USA? Major donors for the Koch brothers also are primary financial pillars for Turning Point USA, specifically their campus operations. And guess who used to serve as the director of urban engagement?
Y'all see the mayor of Chicago calling for a strike? Watch this.
There are some billionaires and corporate leaders that want us to have sympathy for them, and they have just received the greatest tax cuts at the expense of healthcare and housing and education and transportation and good paying jobs. So here's what we need to do in this moment. If my ancestors as slaves can lead the greatest general strike in the history of this country, taking it to the ultra-rich and big corporations, we can do the same today. I'm calling on black people, white people, brown people, Asian people, immigrants, gay people from around
That's how you lead, Brandon. From now on, that's how you lead. Y'all heard what the fuck he said. Stop spending your goddamn money with these corporations. If our ancestors could do it while they getting dog sick on them and they got fire hoses being put on their ass, we can do it too. Ain't no excuse, because ain't that motherfucker getting whipped, chained up, none of that shit. Stop spending your money with these bitches. Let them get taxed and pay for all of our shit, because we've been paying for all they shit. All they luxury life they've been living, yeah, we've been paying for all that shit. It's time for them to pay for our motherfucking health care, our schooling, our transportation, all that shit. It's time to strike. There ain't never been a better time to strike than right now. It don't make no fucking sense that millionaires and billionaires are getting permanent tax cuts while the middle class and lower class are losing every fucking thing. Every fucking thing that helps us keep afloat in this punk ass country they taking from us. Nah, we ain't going out like that. We ain't going out like that. Yeah, you corporations ain't getting a nan nothing out of them. Okay? You ain't getting another nan nothing out of me. Okay? I need all the mayors and governors to get on the same tune and let y'all people know it's time to strike.
You're not a nan nothing.
I hope I won this cash 3 out of played that bit. I done spent 50.
Mama here real. Mama here ain't playing.
Who the hell is that?
My white friend.
You hell no, you're not going nowhere with them. You don't see what's going on out here on this internet. They done took that young man life, Nolan, and the other boys missing, and then done put and stuff that happened to them. I don't want you around none of them going nowhere without me being able to see.
But my white friends ain't like that.
Baby, right now I don't trust nobody. And the way this justice system covering for them, baby, hell no. And if you talking about that little white boy who mama's a prosecutor, you damn sure ain't going around them. Because soon as something happen, they going to cover it up. I don't want your name. If they want to go somewhere, they come over here to my house because I got cameras every goddamn one. I can see what's going on. You not going no more. Don't go. You not going to no pool, no lake, no river, no beach, nowhere. You ain't going inside their house. I don't trust them. Too much going on. Now don't ask me, can you go nowhere with them? And I told you I better not catch you with them. I don't want you with them right now, especially hanging out there without me being able to see you. Because something happened to you, I'm going to take their mammy, they daddy, they grandmammy, everybody like
real mama.
Okay, do you hear me? I'm going to do something too about you.
Mama.
So don't, right now ain't the time. I'm seeing too much going on to these black young men, and I don't want nothing to happen to mine. Because something happened to you. Her Devin and mammy, grandmammy, granddaddy, whoever, are going to meet you, going to be down there with you. They're going to be buried where you, right next to you, around the corner from you. I'm not having it. Please don't ask me. I'm already upset about this Nolan case. I'm upset about how they hiding this baby. And they took his throat and all that there. Honey, you don't know. It's a lot going on. Now, you be on the internet playing the robots. Go look what's going on with these young black boys. Go read about it. Them been his friends for a long time since they was kids. And look what happened to him. Now they covering up, won't even come up and talk and tell for him. They ain't your friends. Ain't nobody your friend but me and God. And your siblings. You got them. And that's why I raised y'all to be close. Hang with each other. You don't need no outside friends. Now get out my face. You better listen to what I'm saying, Kate.
Kick it with your brother.
I'm dead damn.
Sister, whatever.
They ain't your friends. Ain't nobody your friend.
It was muted, but I just will recreate it. This is a list of things we use today that was created to disenfranchise black people. Starting out strong with insurance. Black people was actually the very first capital to be insured in this country. Next, we can talk about to-go plates. Back when it was no longer legal for white people to say they don't want black people in their establishments, it was like, all right, you give them some plates and then get the fuck on. Next is credit scores. Because before white people attempted to get credit in such a large amount, it was just open, willy-nilly, so much so that there was a fucking stock crash. Credit scores were created to make it hard for black people to secure a home loan. And back in the day, it actually came with a requirement of a reference. Which leads us into our next thing. References. References was created back when vagrancy laws prohibited black people from being unemployed and made them sign labor contracts. In order to have a labor contract and be employed by a white person from your last, basically owner. Mind you, these were free people, but free was used extremely loosely. Next is invoices. Treadmills. Now, the treadmill was used as a punishment for slaves, and it was actually a machine. They called it the everlasting staircase or something like that. And it was like it churned. I think it was like corn and cotton. Like it processed corn and cotton. But if you look it up, it's basically a large, almost like Stairmaster, if you will. But that's where the treadmill derived from. Next, college tuitions. Next is bar exams and exams alike. Before, you could actually enter any profession if you just went to college and you consider yourself a lawyer. But once black people started doing it, yeah, they had to put some type of other requirement to make it harder for us to get in there. Next is butter pecan ice cream, picnics. A lot of people don't know, but picnics actually took place on Sundays for a reason. A lot of these picnics took place outside of a black church or near a black church. And it wasn't like they would lynch one black person. They would actually kidnap people throughout the week, send their postcards throughout the week, and people would come from out of town to watch people be lynched in mass. Sometimes up to 12 people would be lynched at once. Next is master bedrooms. And lastly, paramedics. The only reason we have a system that we know today to be paramedics is because black people had no way to get to the hospital and no hospital to get to because it was prohibited. Hospitals was only used for white people.
He was found in a trash bag, and police say that he did this to himself. Nothing about this case makes sense, and sadly, I bet most of you have never heard the name Jamarcus Washington. Well, I'm here to change that today. On June 25th, 2024, 17-year-old Jamarcus Washington died from a gunshot wound in Parsons, Kansas. I had never heard about Jamarcus's case until I was tagged in a video that was put up by one of his sisters. I watched that video and then I found videos from another one of his sisters. I'm going to tag both of those sisters. I'm going to tell you what this family is saying. And at the end of this video, I beg you to go and support his sisters and help us say Jamarcus's name. According to his family and a recording that I'm about to play for you, Jamarcus's mother was initially told by the medical examiner's office that this was a homicide, so they could not release any details to her because that information was being suppressed by the police department.
It's a homicide, so I can't release any information. Wait, let me go back to that part. Information. It's been suppressed.
It's been suppressed.
But it is a homicide, and it's just still suppressed. It's suppressed, yes. I can't give out any information.
However, the family says that following communication between the police department and that medical examiner's office, the ruling changed, and it was said that Jamarcus did this to himself. I want to list off a few reasons why that makes no sense at all, but first let's start with what was happening that day, June 25th, 2024. Jamarcus was at a friend's house. He was with 3 other minors and an adult. Allegedly, a gunshot went off and 2 of those minors ran away from the scene and then returned in different clothing. One of those minors allegedly had on black gloves and had a weapon in their pocket. Now, police did interview those minors, but according to what the family is saying, they weren't tested for gunshot residue, and during Jamarcus's autopsy, he did not have gunshot residue on his hands. So how would he have done this himself? And I also want you to listen to this snippet of the EMS report that is read out by one of Jamarcus's sisters, where they talk about the trash bag.
Upon arrival, we found the patient slumped, supine on his back against the wall in a black trash bag.
Now, she reads out more of that EMS report, but it is very graphic, and I'm trying to make sure that there is not anything in this video that will keep it from being seen, because his story needs to be heard. So please go to her page, support her, and watch her videos. And tell me, who is able to take their own life and then put themselves into a trash bag? That just seems like, impossible to me, but what do I know? Now, a few other details. She says in the EMS report that it states these minors were recording a video at the time this gunshot went off. She also says there's a video floating around of this. I have also read that police allowed that video to be deleted. I have also read that Jamarcus's phone and money were missing from his body. There is so much to this case. The family has spent time trying to get body cam footage, investigative reports, forensic records, and other evidence, but they're not getting the transparency that they deserve. And whether you believe the police story that Jamarcus did this himself, the family is still owed transparency into everything that is available. So we all need to be talking about this case so they know it cannot go silent. It's already been 2 years. There's an online petition where you can read more of the family story. This is the title of it here. Please go find it, at least read it, and if you feel so led, sign it. Jamarcus had just finished his junior year at Parsons High School, and he was looking forward to his senior year. He played football. It was his passion, and he hoped one day to make it pro in the NFL, but That dream never got to come to fruition. He was supposed to be honored at the high school graduation, but his family says that did not happen, so they had their own celebration for him. This case is heartbreaking, and if it is going to take social media outrage to get full transparency for this family, then let's make sure that they get that. I am asking every single one of you who is still watching this video, go read the petition, sign it if you can. Go and support both sisters, this one tagged here, as well as this sister. Help us say Jamarcus Washington's name, and I will keep you updated on this case. Until then, rest in peace to Jamarcus Washington.
Listen, we have more than just one athlete, you know, young black athlete that's dying at the hands of, you know, the whites, you know. So we got to pay attention to our children, man. We got to stand up there, man. Stand up and tell them no. You know what I'm saying? No, you can't go. You can't. Come on now. Use your brain, man. Save your children, man. Please. Save your children.
I had to stop real quick. Any white folks, I'm gonna give you 3 seconds to just leave this video. This won't be the video for you. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Black folks, let me tell your ass something. Specifically black parents. Have you ever seen a white parent let they only white male child go on vacation with 3-4 other black motherfuckers? Think about it. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen one token white motherfucker go on vacation with 3 or 4 black motherfuckers? Have you ever seen that shit? Because I don't think I have, and I've been on this motherfucking world for goddamn 38 goddamn years. I don't think I have. So why the fuck would you let your only black, not only, but you let your only fucking, your black boy go on vacation with 4 white motherfuckers during this presidency? Why the fuck would you let that happen? They sacrificed that boy. And I don't give a fuck what the autopsy report come back drowned. They sacrificed that boy.
Allegedly.
Let's be fucking real.
We're gonna say allegedly.
Because that's their culture. That's what the motherfuckers do. They shoot deer and all type of shit, kill shit every motherfucking day. Look through them kids' phone, you will see them playing in that shit. Look through them kids' phone, you will see them playing in that shit. But they gonna protect them. It ain't gonna be a motherfucking thing we gonna be able to do about that shit. Because they trying to start something. That's what the fuck they doing. They got judges and all type of shit as they fathers and all type of shit. Didn't even report the boy missing until they got home. That was the parents and all the motherfuckers colluding together. That's what the fuck they was doing. Now that boy up out of here because we got silly ass people that don't talk to their motherfucking kids. Tell their motherfucking ass what the fuck going on in this motherfucking world. Trying to coddle them and shit. Steady coddling these motherfuckers. No, tell them what the fuck is going on in this motherfucking world. 4 white motherfuckers with 1 black kid. You fucking crazy? Like, this shit is about to drive me insane, low-key. For real. For real. For real. But what the fuck gonna happen when little white boys go missing? When they go on trips? But it ain't gonna happen because white parents don't do no stupid shit like that. Motherfuckers wanna act like y'all them or something. Wanna go and be them and talk like them and all that shit like them. And when they get more emboldened because this bitch ass administration. The other fucking day, I just saw some shit where it looked like a white kid, I don't know, slapped the shit out of TJ, the rapper. You wanna know why he did that? Cause he said to himself, ain't shit gonna happen to me. Y'all rappers, all y'all motherfuckers need to stop hanging out with these motherfuckers, giving them clout, hanging around these weird ass motherfuckers. Y'all get rid of y'all real friends and then hang around these weird ass motherfuckers because they got a little change. Get y'all motherfucking act together. Get your goddamn act together, bitch. And realize what the fuck going on in this world. Open your motherfucking eyes, motherfucker. Rest in peace to Nolan, man.
Listen, I know this brother saying what all of us want to say, you know what I'm saying? But we can't just come out like that and say that out like that, man. So you have to say allegedly, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep it real. But he is saying what a lot of us want to say. But we got to keep it real and say allegedly, okay? Okay, back to it.
So my brother lives in good old Mississippi, and we had a long conversation today about this Nolan Xavier Wells case, the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. As I'm talking with him about it, he knew nothing about the case. He's not on social media. He doesn't really watch TV like that, so he was oblivious to this story. So I got him up to speed on the story, and as I'm telling him the story, before I could even get to the point that Nolan never made it back, he stopped me in my tracks. He was like, well, let me guess. He never made it back. They made it back to shore without him. I was like, exactly. He was like, nah, I almost got caught up the same way. He said he almost got caught up the same exact way with one of his coworkers. He was like, he had started a job, and unbeknownst to him, he didn't know that there was some like thick racial tension happening on the job, where he works in like warehouse environment, where at this particular warehouse, the manager or the person that they reported to is a black man. And he was like, the white employees have a real hard time taking direction, orders, or even having a authority figure being a black person. So it becomes very problematic because they don't respect the manager. And it just, as black people are watching these white people disrespect this manager, it gets them in defensive mode. So he's like, the racial tension within a company is thick when it comes to that. But he was like, you know, we from California, we're used to diversity, being from California, being from the Bay Area. We are used to being around all types of people. We were raised like that. We had neighbors to the left, they were Asian. We had neighbors to the right, they were black. Neighbors directly across the street from us, they were white. Our schools were very diverse, at least back during our, school years. It was very diverse in the Bay Area in terms of who we interacted with on a daily basis. But of course, when you come to the South, that dynamic shifts significantly. What people don't realize is in the South, the self-segregation alone within the South is insane. It's a lot of times in the deeper South, not only are you self-segregating, but you actually see racism. You encounter it on a daily basis in a lot of these deep South places. And my brother, he's in the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area. So he was saying that he was cool with everybody. He understood at some point that there was some racial tension, but at this point he had kind of was befriending, various groups of people within this warehouse. And he was like, I guess the white people took a liking to him, and they invited him out to go fishing. And he said he had to, respectfully decline the offer to go fishing, because he's like, what they not finna do, they're not finna set me up and get me out there and I don't make it back. He's like, it ain't going down like that. Whether that was their intention or not, I'm not a fool. I understand what's going on within this warehouse. Y'all can't even respect the black manager. You can't respect a black authority figure. I'm not finna be the casualty because y'all trying to prove a point for somebody on his job. He told me a story about a little boy from their neighborhood that came up dead. Little boy, a teenage boy, got into it with another little boy, a white boy. They were friends. They got, you know, kids get into arguments, disagreements. The disagreements spilled over to the parents, and the parents got into it. Ultimately, the kids got over their issue and started back being friends, but the parents never really got over it, got over their thing. They were still bickering back and forth, but the kids out playing. Some time passed, he said, and the black boy went fishing with the white boys and a group of other white children, and he never made it back home. He never made it back home from them going on this water excursion fishing. I can't remember what he said they were going to the water for, but nonetheless, he never made it back home. They found his body days later, washed up in another body of water in Mississippi, because where they went, he said it has like a strong kind of current, and it just pushed him downstream, and they found his body, and they ultimately ruled his death an accidental drowning. But he was like, we know it wasn't no accidental drowning. We don't believe that's what it was. We understood that there was tension between that boy's family and the white family that he was with, he went fishing with, and they're patient. They probably can't get you when they want to get you, but as soon as you let your guard down, that's when it's gonna go down. He said he don't trust none of them there when it comes to it. It's the deep South, and a lot of people forget you are in the deep South. Ain't nothing changed. They just do it in a different way, and they got people, family, friends, etc. in high places that can get them out of anything. Did you
see what I was saying about?
I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that it was that thick and it was that deep in terms of just what you experience on a daily basis, just on a work site when it comes to racism. And
it's
generational.
Like,
it ain't no game
down there with them white.
He was like, it ain't no game down here.
Generational wealth.
You got to be very vigilant. You got to be very cautious. Have your eyes open, head on swivel.
Everything down there, the white folks.
Look at things from a different lens. You cannot. You have to dissect everything he said, because what you don't think is something that you should be worried about is the exact thing you should indeed be worried about. So that's why you just got to keep your distance from them, because it can consume you, because now you think everybody out to get you. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that he shared with me. I told him he needs to go ahead and create a TikTok page and start telling his stories. He's been there pretty much all his life, well, at least all of his adult life for sure. And I'm like, you need to get on here and tell these stories, because these are interesting stories that he was telling me. He told me so much more that I just don't have time in this video to kind of go through it. But it was very eye-opening. I'm like, you need to get up out of there. You need to leave there. Because that's alarming if this is what you guys have to go through on a daily basis, especially when you're at the workplace, on job sites and stuff. But yeah, if you're in Mississippi, or if you've got stories, or you have family, drop in the comments and tell me what y'all experience has been, just being a black person in the deep South. Have your experiences been similar to my brother's? Have you had more positive experiences? And how do you navigate it? What does that look like for you? Let's talk about it.
Right. And I always.
This is not Nolan Wells, but tell me if this sounds familiar. On the 4th of July of this year, while celebrating that holiday with some of his friends and teammates from his high school, 17-year-old Dion Walton drowned. Yep. While at the community lake with some of his high school teammates in Covington County, Alabama, a 17-year-old multi-talented, multi-field athlete died, allegedly drowning. You can't make this up.
Holiday quickly turning into a tragedy for a Covington County family who lost their loved one in a drowning just days ago on the 4th of July. WDHN's Robert Smith Jr. has the latest.
The stomachs of Jason Walton and John Walden turned after they were at the store getting food to grill out for the holiday when they got a frightening call from their nephew Dion Walton's football coach that he went missing in a community lake.
He was like, hey Jason, where you guys are? I was like, well, we just got home from the grocery store. And he was like, you guys need to get here ASAP. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, it's involving Dion.
They went to the community lake off Harmony Church Road in Covington County, where Walton was with some of his teammates celebrating the holiday.
We seen like all these police is there, and then we pulled into the driveway on the side of the house, and then I saw the rescue squad. They were boat divers searching out there in the water. I'm like, why are all these people out here? And so I parked the car, and I ran to the dock quick. And I was like, well, one of the parents came up. I said, what's going on?
His family says they were told Walton and some friends jumped off the pier into the lake to see who could swim to a small island in the middle of the lake the fastest. But Dion struggled as he was cramping in the water. After turning back towards the pier, calling for help, trying to grab onto a floaty, he was already starting to sink underwater.
The parent that owned the home, he said he rushed out there to the pond and he jumped in to try to look for him, and all the other players turned around and tried to search for him, and they just could not find him. And I was just, I don't know, it's a lot.
He was a 17-year-old student at Strawn High School who ran track, played football, and basketball.
I'm telling you, these people's stories fall apart like tissue paper, wet tissue paper, because they say they heard him struggling and calling for help, but yet and still you couldn't find him. He went under, and
you mean you couldn't find him?
I can't. But let's take a look at something. So Dion was out there with his teammates and his football coach from Strong High School in Covington County, Alabama. Now, Strong County High School is 93.6% white and 2.4% black. So the possibility of this being a predominantly white crowd, if not an all-white crowd except for Dion, is extremely high. So this is a photo of the Strong High School football team there in Covington County, Alabama. And in the all-white, on white back there, that is the football coaching staff. In the all white on white.
New Black Justice or something they got.
I'm just gonna leave this right here. I'm just gonna leave it right here.
I think we've been severely undersold on Rosa Parks because everybody knows the story. Rosa Parks gets off work, she's tired, her feet hurt. The bus driver tells her to give up her seat and she didn't. And somehow this quiet little seamstress helped start the Montgomery bus boycott. Except Rosa Parks spent years telling people that wasn't what happened. She said the only thing she was tired of was giving in. And once you look at what Rosa Parks had been doing for more than a decade before she ever stepped foot on that bus, the version we learned in school starts looking a little questionable. Because 11 years before Montgomery, Rosa Parks was investigating crimes against Black people in Alabama. And somehow that got left out. So let's back up. Rosa Parks grows up in Alabama during some of the worst years of racial violence in the South, and her grandfather was not playing about protecting his family. When the KKK was active around their community, her grandfather would sit by the door at night with his gun, and Rosa remembered sitting there with him. So this idea that Rosa Parks had spent her entire life as this naturally meek, passive woman who suddenly found some courage on a Montgomery bus, that woman never existed. In 1943, Rosa Parks joins the Montgomery chapter of the NAACP, and she becomes the branch secretary. Now, when I hear secretary, I'm thinking taking notes, scheduling meetings, keeping everybody organized. But no, Rosa Parks was doing investigative work, because when something happened to a Black person in Alabama, and the police weren't particularly interested in investigating it, somebody still had to document what happened. Somebody had to talk to the family. Take statements, get names, build a record. Rosa was one of the people doing that work. And one of the cases she became involved with was Recy Taylor. In 1944, Recy Taylor was 24 years old. She was a wife, a mother, and she was walking home from church in Abbeville, Alabama, when a group of white men abducted her at gunpoint and raped her. And I want you to remember the year, because Reese Taylor reported what happened. The authorities knew exactly who these men were. One of the men admitted participating and identified the others. And still, nobody was prosecuted. So the NAACP sent in Rosa Parks. Not Rosa Parks, the woman from the bus. Remember, this is 11 years before. This is Rosa Parks, the investigator. She goes to Reese Taylor's home. She talks to her and documents her story. And the local sheriff makes it very clear that Rosa is not welcome there. So she leaves, and then goes right back to Montgomery and helps to turn Reese Taylor's case into a national campaign. They organized the Committee for Equal Justice for Miss Reese Taylor. And this thing got big, y'all. Black newspapers across the country covered the case. People organized, letters poured into Alabama. The case became nationally known. And despite all of that, 2 grand juries failed to indict anyone. Not convicted, not acquitted. They wouldn't even indict them. Alabama didn't formally apologize to Reese Taylor until 2011. 67 years later. She was still alive to hear it, thankfully. And Reese Taylor wasn't just some random detour in Rosa Parks' life. Rosa spent years working around cases involving racial violence and injustice. She also worked with the NAACP Youth Council in Montgomery. And one of those young people was Claudette Colvin. And we know that Claudette Colvin refused to give up her seat first. So if we fast forward to December 1st, 1955, Rosa gets on that bus. So when the driver tells her to move and she doesn't, this is not the beginning of Rosa Parks' activism. That's the part I think American history completely mangled. We start her story on that bus. She's 42 years old at this point. We skip decades. By the time Rosa Parks refused to move, she had already spent years working inside the NAACP. She had investigated racial violence. She helped organize around Reese Taylor. She had worked with young activists. She had attended activist training. She knew what resistance looked like. And she had already watched other Black women challenge Montgomery's buses before her. So no, she didn't accidentally stumble into the civil rights movement because she had a long day at work. She was already in it. And the boycott that followed wasn't spontaneous either. Black organizers in Montgomery already had networks, churches, women's political organizations, NAACP activists, people who had been organizing around racial injustice for years. And what began as a one-day protest became the Montgomery bus boycott. 381 days. That's organization. And Rosa Parks was a part of that organizing world long before most of America ever learned her name. And here's another part about Rosa Parks' story that didn't make it into our elementary school worksheets. She didn't become less political after Montgomery. If anything, she just gets more interesting. She and her husband lost their jobs. They struggled financially. They received threats. And in 1957, they eventually left Montgomery and moved to Detroit. Later, Rosa worked for Congressman John Conyers for more than 20 years. She remained politically active. She supported the defense of Joan Little, a Black woman whose 1975 trial became a major case involving sexual violence and self-defense. And Rosa Parks admired Malcolm X. She called him a personal hero. Now, where was this version of Rosa Parks in school? I would have loved to have met her. And I think that's what bothers me about the way her story gets told. We didn't exactly erase Rosa Parks. We did something stranger. We made her smaller. We kept the bus, we kept the photographs, kept the seamstress, kept the quiet dignity, and somehow misplaced the investigator, the organizer, the woman documenting violence against Black women when the justice system wouldn't, the woman working with young activists before Montgomery, the woman who admired Malcolm X, the woman who remained politically active for the rest of her life. Because that version of Rosa Parks is considerably harder to turn into a harmless little story about being tired. When Rosa Parks died in 2005, she became the first woman to lie in honor in the United States Capitol Rotunda. Millions of people knew exactly who she was. Or at least.
Well. Rosa Parks. Yeah, she worked for the NAACP. She was a secretary and all that. She got off the bus and all that. But what I was hitting at is we had more, we lost more teens in the 2000s than I've ever seen. You know, I'm from Mississippi, and I've seen a lot of things happen in Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? But that's a story for other days and other times. Like I said, Mississippi is a hard place for a black man to grow up. I had to get away from there too because it was hard. I had came from down up north, but that's another story. Like I said, but anyway, these are the most disturbing videos and reality that we see every day. And let's get back to it another day. Like, subscribe, and comment.